Guess what? We're painting a Space Marine. It's Space Marine time, baby. I know you can't believe it. I can't believe it. Yep. Unsub. This isn't going to be an all the time thing. You know, I got to change it up once in a while. Get some, diversify my viewership. No, man, I just wanted to, you know, I was in the mood to kit bash some Space Marines. There's nothing wrong with that. Thanks for the sub, Topulus. Appreciate it. All right. So we're going to do the Deathwatch, right? So we're going to start with basically in black armor. It's not clickbait. There's no clickbait. I'm actually painting a Space Marine. One stream? I don't know. There might be more than one. It's not going to be an all, like I said, it's not going to be an all the time thing. I'm not switching to I'm a GW painter now. I'm just, you know, want to have some fun and do up some Marines. So I'll tell you what I'm not going to do. I'm not going to paint them in the heavy metal style. That would definitely never happen. I don't think the heavy metal team could afford to pay me. The primer is the Vallejo polyurethane primer, the airbrush primer. And we're just going to paint black right over top of it. What's my favorite Space Marine chapter? I don't know if I really, honestly, I don't know if I really have one. I'm not, the reason I'm doing Deathwatch is because I just want to paint all of them. Like, Space Wolves are cool, Salamanders are cool, I like the Grey Knights, Ultramarines are fine. So no, I don't really have a favorite per se. I think they're all pretty neat. So this guy's going to be a Blood Angel. Just remove my mask and it's Andy? No. I'm also wearing stilts. Good evening. No, this is also not a Golden Demon project. You could forget about that too. This is literally just for fun. I just want to paint. I just want to build some cool Space Marines, convert some guys, and play some Kill Team. Okay, I get to paint 6 models, play some Kill Team. Maybe after that I'll play some boarding action. Don't read too much into this. This is not some secret, plan to change my entire audience. Maybe, Mike. It's close enough, and I can come stay at Will's and hang out. I got Will all excited that I'm getting into this, and he's gonna probably come down and play some Kill Team with me. So my roommate's literally sitting next to me. Guess what he's playing? No, this channel is also not becoming a battle report channel, okay? I'm not doing all that. I forgot I had to paint the whole arm silver. I was like getting into just painting the Hey, it's Fabjorn. Speaking of, gimme a cool Space Wolf. Hi, Meow. Meow, when's the last time you painted a Space Marine? Hell yeah, dude. I'm trying to get a cool Space Wolf Terminator. I will say that Terminators are my favorite design of Space Marine. I really like the Grey Knight Terminators are super cool. Maybe one day I'll do a 75mm Grey Knight Terminator. Nico Muko Mihao Professor Motarde? I don't know how to say that. Professeur? Is that French? Oh, I'm definitely going to have to bust out the glasses at some point for these guys. So what I want to just do is I'm just trying to get the rough, like, kind of shines where the armor would go, right? And then I'll work on blending this together, and then we'll switch to that kind of heavy metal style of doing edge highlights. But I want to get some like basic volumetry. Think the for those quite familiar with the GW figures, Golden Demon people, think like the kind of more Darren Latham style of painting Space Marines. You have to paint a blue Space Marine if you know what I mean. I imagine you got probably a big one coming up. A big boy. I've got a big boy. I've got one waiting around. I'll get to it at some point. See you, man. Well, hello. Hello, Chile. All right. So you can see I'm trying to get those shapes in, right? And I can do some of them a bit more broad, and then I can kind of filter to soften these transitions out. So make the armor look a little shinier. Almost like painting a simplified non-metallic. But I can't do too big or too bright of a reflection on the armor itself, or it won't look black anymore. So that's about as bright as I will go on the maybe I'll go one more layer for little dots. But that's about as much as I need to get the rough lights in. Lumberjack Tim, thanks for following. Hello. Yeah, man, you got, every once in a while, you got to have a for fun project. If all we do is commissions and stuff all the time, painting is supposed to be fun. Enjoy yourself. Paint what you want. Not everything has to be for competition. You've heard my name before, maybe on TUP, which I assume is Trapped Under Plastic, the podcast. Maybe. I know Scott and John. There's a chance they've mentioned me. Hey, Vince. Vince sneaking in here. You guys are only interested now. All these people coming out to say hello, all because I just happen to be painting a Space Marine. Huh? Never come hang out on my stream when I'm doing something else, painting something else, but hi, Whittle Goblin. How are you? This was the real secret. This was really why I wanted to paint Space Marines. It's all a marketing ploy. Eric, which class won the best class from Mark's Lumberjack Workshop based off the photos? I think that answer's pretty clear from the photos. If you want to say which area is rocking it the best, it was definitely San Diego. Everybody else on the Western Seaboard needs to step up their games. Good. My week has been fine. Finished up the next Black Crow release, which will be shown next week. Been working on the Chimera project for their next Kickstarter. And yeah, and I put some Space Marines together. Now I'm doing my test scheme. See, Mike. This will, in fact, be uploaded to YouTube. Like all of my stream replays, you can find them on YouTube at Eric Schwinson. So if you want to go back and reference any video, or maybe you missed a week on a project, you can find them all there. I'm not going to tell you that, Topulus. You will have to buy the book to find out. There will be a book that comes with the Kickstarter, and it will have a full tutorial on that one. Which sculptors are my favorite for commercial and scratch figures? Well, my favorite sculptor is Joaquin Palacios. Other than that, I think Valentin Zach is really good. I think Victor Aguilar is really good. I think Alan Diego Carrasco is really good. Alex Oz is quite good. Lucas is not one of my favorites, honestly. I like Lucas. I recognize that he's a fantastic sculptor, but I tend to not love his style of figures. They're just not quite my thing. I've painted a couple of them. I think he is ridiculously good, but yeah, they're not really my thing. They're not angry enough. I don't know. How about you guys? Who are y'all's favorite sculptors? So some of this stuff has to be smoothed out a little bit, but I think I'm ready for the next layer. I'm trying to keep track of what I'm using. Well, luckily I have this recorded so I can refer to my own YouTube video on how I painted my Marines. I think I might actually, you know what? I think I'm going to change that. I think I'm going to go with a little, do I want that or do I want like a turquoise? I think I'm going to go with the sky blue. Arthur Parisi. I don't know if I'm familiar. Is he mostly a historical guy, or if he's a historical sculptor, I'm probably not going to be very familiar. Fancy, but mostly unknown. Okay, well, I'll have to check him out. Let's see, so now we get the little shiny dots. This looks really bright at the moment because all you're seeing is it's surrounded by so much black. So here's kind of the thing about painting black, right? Is you don't need to paint a shiny black. You don't have to highlight it as much as some people might think. This is really still kind of a neutral gray. I mean, it's bluish gray, but the value is pretty neutral, and it seems really light because of how much black there is. But when I put on when I start doing like the silvers and golds and stuff and the leathers, you'll see that it's not quite as, it doesn't feel as bright. Right now I'm just getting the main reflection is. I'll have to turn the figure to the side and do this on like the back side. So I'll have to do it from like this angle and then maybe also from this one. But this gives me the main reflection points. I'll probably do it in thirds, like I said. And if at any point it feels too bright, it's easy to glaze back over top of it and tone it down some. There will be no slap chopping. There's a trend-free zone around here. All right, so you can see how thin that is. He's going to be Blood Angels. So at some point, you can see I'd put little like, well, they're kind of hard to see because they're tiny, but I put the blood emblems on him. So at the moment I have a salamander, an ultramarine, a space wolf, a blood angel, a black templar, and a raptor. I'll probably, as I make more guys, obviously I want to do a Crimson Fist, and I don't even know if I care about doing a Imperial Fist. Yeah, I'll probably do like a bunch of different ones as I go. I don't know if I'll stream them all. I'll probably paint some with, just friends. And also I don't want to sit here and do weeks and weeks of let's paint black armor again. Right? It's not particularly interesting. Oh no, I'm gonna do the olive drab for raptors. I cut off all his chapter symbol, or like all the Aquila and stuff. Made his armor very simple with full of pouches and stuff. Right, so there you go. You see, do some edge highlighting. So yeah, now I have to go around and edge highlight, possibly glaze some more light into certain ones. This needs to be a little bigger. I find on these really tiny figures, it's strong, much easier to make like small adjustments. Hi, Striker. I'm having, this brush has gotten a little old. I've been abusing it on some painting thousands of little lines for non-metallic metal, so. In a minute, you guys want to see my other converted dudes. Here. Where are they? So I got this guy who needs a head. He's going to be my Ultramarine. My Ultramarine gunner. This guy, who's a grenade launcher dude for my kill team. I haven't decided what chapter I'm going to make him. I've got this guy, who's my Raptor. He's the grenade man. He's got some grenades. I've got my Sergeant. He's the Salamander. I did give him a little cloak and the brazier. Then I got my space wolf, who I converted from Ragnar, and I cut a bunch of the parts off him and tried to make him look a bit less like a character model. So he had like a lot of little rivets and things that I shaved off, gave him a helmet, took the frost fang out of his blade with some sprue glue, filled it in, and then cut it off so that it filled all the little lettering in. And I chopped up his cape, so he no longer has like the wolf head shoulder. He's got the just a regular shoulder pad, and I gave him a regular backpack. So I toned down the extreme amount of Space Wolf stuff on him a little bit to make him look slightly less like a straight up character model. You know, trying to still want him to look Space Wolfy, but not like he's a captain or something. Make him fancy, but not too fancy. There's another figure I'd like to get my hands on. Zachariah. He's a Dark Angel lieutenant. Because for some reason the Dark Angels don't have like any good Primaris figures with robes. It's really weird. He's like the only one. Yeah, I guess I could do them in Imperial Fist. They're very generic. I was thinking of saving Imperial Fist for maybe one of like the heavier squad guys, like a heavy intercessor or something. If I move up to, or when I move up to 500 points for what the hell is it called?
Boarding party, I think.
Boarding actions. There's no way I'm painting a Stormcast. You can forget about that.
What?
Stormcast Eternal, like the Age of Sigmar guys. Or Nurgle is my original. Death Guard was my original Space Marine army when I played in 5th edition. Way back in the day. No, I've never played Warhammer Fantasy Battle. Not once. I had absolutely no interest. And I still don't. Can you do all this kind of stuff in fantasy? Is there a lot of kit bashing that goes on in fantasy? I mean, my favorite part of Space Marines is how modular everything is, so that you can swap arms around. I spend half the time, like, when it's gonna probably take me less time to paint this figure than it did to build it, just because of all the like selection that I do on like, oh, which arms am I gonna give him? I gotta make sure his pose is right. I'm very picky when it comes to actually building my Space Marines. Oh, interesting. I've seen Vince's Slanesh. It's insane, but I didn't know if it was if they were very strict with like WYSIWYG. What's up, Dave? How's where are you in JFK right now? Fun.
Dave, we doing dinner on Friday?
Yeah, Dave.
Mike misses you.
He definitely heard you. He said I am.
He's embarrassed. Tell him he needs to pick up Mike.
I'll text him and let him know. That's cool. So those like in fantasy you don't have like one of the things that drove me nuts, and from what I hear, I've been, you know, looking at the rumor mill a little bit for 10th edition 40K. Like when I got the Intercessor kit, when I bought the like combat patrol box for Deathwatch, I was like, holy crap, why do they have 3 different attachments for the guns? And it was like, I heard they're getting rid of that, like stepping it back down to one profile, which to me is a good thing. Like there doesn't need to be a difference between a power axe and a power sword. It's just like, just make them look cool.
I got like 32 arms for these 2 units.
I'm not worried about transporting shit because I'm never going to have enough models to play in a tournament. And I never will. Well, I'll probably maybe have enough models, but I'll never play in a tournament. Maybe one day, like next year, I'll play. I'll bring my kill team. Play some kill team with Vince V. I'm a 40K guy now. I could be part of VinceyCon. Accept me as one of your own. Man, I had my competitive gaming days. I don't care about what's fair or not. I just care what looks cool on the table. The last time I played a game of, the last game I played of War Machine, which was before the pandemic, I think I spent more time just taking pictures of the models on the table than I did actually playing the game, than rolling dice. Do I want to do this double edge highlight thing? I think I will. I always find this kind of weird, but I guess it looks pretty good and helps like define that shape. It is maybe a little too bright though. Yeah, I'm gonna tone it back a little bit. I don't like it that bright. A little bit's fine, just not that much. Even this one's a little too bright. I just need enough to separate it. Do I have a Monpok force? No. I've played one game of Monpok, and that's it.
Somebody ruined it for us.
Yeah. I'm really not too much into competitive tabletop games like 1v1 style tabletop games. I think the narrative aspect of Kill Team sounds really cool, where you can like some of that Necromunda stuff starts to bleed in. Where your guys can get like injured and you gotta build like a 20-man roster and you can like get relics and equipment and everything. Oh, sorry I missed Darth Rosie and Sithro. Hello. Basically, to quote Danny Glover, I'm getting too old for this shit, and I'm more into narrative play now. Though I'm sure this will pull out some of my competitive nature no matter what. Can't change your personality too much.
We already made that joke, so you missed out on it. Mike and I were talking. I was like, I'm not going to play competitively. He's like, I know you guys.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, never mind.
I'm not going to play competitively in tournaments, but, you know, it's not like I'm going to not try to win the game. But I'm not going to like tailor my list or anything. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to Evo, but I'm still going to try and beat my friends at Street Fighter. You know what I'm saying?
Get better.
All right, he's starting to look like something, right? He's looking like he's got some black armor now. Looking a little shiny. Hi, Dave. Then after this, I'll do another couple small dots to really make that edge highlight shine. Got a bunch of terrain I want to paint at some point. Dude, one of the coolest things, all right, I get a little nerdy on like certain stuff, like the boarding action board is super cool. Like it reminds me of D&D dungeon terrain, but you're just like, yeah, look at this. I got a cool spaceship for my little men to run around in. I'm a 38-year-old child is what I'm getting at. Dude, I love the little, like, I don't even know what to call it. The Mega Man little disc on the side of Space Marine's ankles now is like my favorite design change they made to these guys. Whoever was the designer that was like, put some cool not like discs on there. That guy's smart. Give him a raise. Put an extra little shine here. All right. He's looking kind of shiny now. I'll move back up to the cape and stuff. I'm kind of just working on the legs at the moment. The legs and the torso. Gotta paint these. Holy shit, these are small. Okay, now I can see them. Got little vents. Dude, can you can shoot people out into space in boarding action? You can blow open walls? Is that legit a thing you can do, like, in the rules? Because if so, that's cool as hell and extremely narrative. One of my favorite tabletop games that died way too soon was the Marvel game from Night Models, which I guess turned into the DC game, but you could, like, throw people through buildings and shit. It was so cool. Three dragon slabs. Or 3 dragons labs. Hello. You got that with MC. Can you actually throw people into buildings? Like, can you destroy buildings, or are they too big for that? Hola, bienvenido. I know you can throw the smaller terrain. I didn't know if you could, like, wreck the big buildings. Yeah, they did the terrain size rules were kind of similar in the Night Models one. So, like, basically only the Hulk and Magneto could pick up, like, really huge pieces of terrain. And maybe, like, the Sentry. But when you did, man, it was cool, and it was, like, super devastating. You need to translate bienvenido. That just means welcome. Yeah, I'd say if it's taking you a while to translate that one, yeah, you might need some more practice. So here you can see I'm adding a secondary reflection. So we've got the main reflection from this side. Add a little second one to that other side. Some of this did not get great job filling in with the primer. So real quick, before I need to highlight a couple of these a bit more. I want to jump up to the next highlight so I can show how much this like light gray doesn't look so bright when you put the final little dot highlights on it. It's gonna tone it way back. By contrast, it will knock down that gray and make it feel much more natural and darker than it is. Okay, cool. So now, if I grab something like this light green gray, or maybe I want this like pale blue gray, I think I'll do that. Where is that one? Here we go. Pale gray blue. Yeah, I'm going to do the whole arm. The whole arm is going to be non-metallic. So now with this, I can jump kind of straight to this. Rosen metal with the raid. Hello, welcome in, everyone. Well, I'll wait for a second. All right, so now if I do just like a couple little spots. Hola, Ivan. Hi, everyone. Oh, the Spanish raid. Now if I very selectively use some of this extremely light gray to just do like a few spots on the armor, right? Little nicks and dings. It's going to make that light gray that I put on feel, or that medium gray feel much darker by comparison. And these are just those like final little spark highlights where maybe there's like dings in the edge. Little nicks. But even this is nowhere near like a pure white, right? Because if you look at it on the palette, it almost disappears on the palette. Where if I took something that was actually white and put it on the palette, you can see that it's like brighter than the palette paper. This is like very close in value to the palette paper. So there's still a decent way to go before you get to a pure white. Which will be on the non-metallic parts. But this part, you just need a couple little dots to really make it feel kind of shiny. Imagine it like a kind of glossy paint. The collar I do like to have a good amount of light on. It's a major distinguishing point between the helmet and the armor. So it helps kind of pull you up towards the head. Hello. Jalen and Jose Max. Welcome, welcome guys. And Biok Thor. Welcome, welcome. You see what I mean by putting those little dots on the edge? Here you kind of tone it up by contrast. Makes that previous layer that looked very bright seem much more dulled now. It's not so extreme. Hi, Bill Robertson. Hello. Okay. So I'm just going around the edges, anywhere where I have kind of intersecting panels. So these little corners, I want to get a little dot on those, make them stand out a little bit. You can ask all the questions you want. Whether I will be able to answer them is another thing. But you can certainly ask. The black looks a bit satin. So if you look at it from here, it's a bit satin because there's the primer, but on the front, no, there's no satin. It's meant to look satin. This has been all painted with matte paints at this point. All of these little highlights. This is not just edge highlighting. All these little highlights and stuff on the armor have been added to make the armor look satin. It's like kind of like non-metallic metal, but not quite to the same extreme. What's the best audiobook for painting? Well, you got to listen to First Law if you haven't listened to First Law. Joe Abercrombie, The First Law series. I don't do a whole lot of washes. I don't even do a whole lot of glazing. So most of this has just been layering. And then occasionally, if I need to really subtly smooth out 2 layers, I will use a little bit of a glaze to just soften to a transition point. But I don't honestly do a whole lot of glazing either. Mainly because I think it is kind of slow, and I want to paint fast. I don't want to spend 40 hours on each Space Marine that I do, or really any figure, unless it's like, you know, if I glazed every single figure I painted, I would starve to death. So there's really not much glazing on this at all. Hi, Moe's Magic. Okay, just a few more little dots. Specifically like them on the knees to make that kind of shiny. All right, so here you go, right? All right, if I zoom in onto this knee pad, you can see that blend isn't super great. So I can grab a layer in between, right? And if I need to now, I can do like a soft, I wouldn't even necessarily call this a glaze, but like just like a kind of thin down layer. A glaze is more like trying to even think of a spot where I would do it. Okay, so like on the shoulder, right? Or on the head. A glaze would be like if I took and really thinned this down, and then I started here and like drug it across, right? And just tried to like soften this whole thing out. Which is fine if you're doing like kind of larger surfaces, but it's just so slow because you apply so much thin paint at a time. And really, like, it doesn't need to be that precise. This is, like I said, I'm not painting this for competition. This ain't for Golden Demon. I'm not trying to win any awards with these guys. I just want to enjoy painting some Marines and have fun. Yes, I want them to look good. I have my own personal standards for what my tabletop figures should look like, right? I'm not, you know, I ain't got to slap chop them or anything. But I want them, you know, to look good. So to me, where that armor, the body is at, is pretty acceptable now. There might be some small parts where I make little adjustments here or there. Add a couple little extra dots and dings. but I don't need to make everything silky smooth. I don't like that. I thought about adding these extra little kind of reflections. It makes it a bit too stylized and metallic-y for my taste. I don't like it. I don't want the armor to look like metallic. I just want the armor to look kind of shiny. Kind of satin, right? So I'm not going to go crazy with those kind of effects. I want to, because the shoulder pad is going to be non-metallic, I'll leave that kind of stuff for that. Are Deathwatch the ones from different chapters where they keep their shoulder pad? Yes. So he's got the Inquisition shoulder pad on the one arm. It's kind of hard to see because it's all black. And then he'll be a Blood Angel on the other shoulder. And I've got to freehand it because, so, hot take. I kind of don't really like the sculpted shoulder pads for chapters. I think they look more in scale, realistic, I guess. If they're flat, like I would rather someone use decals to do their shoulder pads than do the sculpted shoulders. Like, why are they rocking these big embossed shoulder pads? Now, for someone like a captain or something, okay, maybe he actually has like some embossed shoulder pad. But for your standard guy, I like the painted on look. Okay. So yeah, still got to do the back of the armor and the head and the backpack, but I think that gives you pretty good idea of how I would do the armor. I still got to do some of this stuff. I would like a little ground reflection here, something to just give a little bit of a rounded shape to this. So it's not just pure black. Yeah, man. Hot takes. I think they are lame. I think they do not match scale well. Another hot take. I don't have a problem with decals if they're well integrated. If you are good at doing decals and you can make it look, a decal look like it's painted on, use decals. They look fantastic. So the current Deathwatch do this thing where they paint this knee pad red, or they do like a little stripe thing to like show what squad they're in or whatever. But if you go back, I used to play the old Deathwatch RPG, like a long time ago, the Fantasy Flight one. And the art in that game is a little different in that it depicts them typically where they'll do the shoulder and the front knee pad as the chapter iconography, which I kind of like because it helps just like bring that color somewhere else. I could even see doing it like this. So you do this shoulder and then this knee pad as the chapter icon. So you get like a kind of, I don't know, balance of the two. But I'll think about it. So right now I've just painted them both black. Cool. Does it look like a Space Marine, you guys? It's been about 10 years. No, that can't be right. It's been less time than that since I painted a Space Marine, but I did some for the charity for the Nova Open. Okay, so technically it's only been like a couple months since I painted a Space Marine. But I think they're slightly different size. Just a little bit. I'm back. Let's work on some non-metallic metal. So I used a lot of switch back to the other brush now. So I used a lot of blue to do the non-metallic, or to do the black armor, right? So to distinguish the the metallic, the actual metallic-y part of the armor, the silver arm, I'm going to stick to more neutral grays, and I'm just going to paint in all of this lettering. You'll see why. I'm basically going to paint it like the letters aren't there. Aquila will also be silver metallic. So normally you want to have like maximum contrast with the silver by having like black in there. But because the Aquila is so tiny and I want to distinguish it from the black armor, I'm actually going to have the darkest shadow of it be like a dark gray instead. And then I'll build up from there. You'll see when I go to do the really bright colors on top of it, when I get up into like the whites and stuff, the white dots, it's going to make it look really shiny. Hi, Minimancer. Hello. So it's like this. I gotta get all this wrist armor. It's all right if I hit some of the chainsword because I still have to paint it, and I'm trying to focus on the rounded nature of the cylindrical nature of this element. I know people seem to think that non-metallic takes forever, but once you get some practice in and you become confident, it can be painted just as fast as true metallic if you know where to put all the lights. Now this kind of thing I do want to do more of those little lines and reflection points. Okay, so that's kind of my first layer. And there's some parts that I'll have to come in and clean up and dark line around, like here. So I'll jump up to using this more neutral gray, right? So I'm looking at them from the front. Where's the main reflection point going to be? It's up here on the shoulder, right here. I'll do the same for the other side. And something like the symbol is going to basically be all about edge highlighting, so I'm not really worried about that at the moment. I'm actually going to cover that whole thing up top. Hello, Harkonnen, and Relapse, and Art J. Reyes. Hello. Missed some people, sorry. Right, so I'm following that cylindrical shape. These little vertical lines, right? They're what's going to make it, so they're what's going to make it look really interesting by having lots of little smaller reflections inside of the reflections. And the more of these you do and vary the shape and size of them will make it look way more interesting. But I have to remember that I have a lot more value range to go. I'm still at like a very much just neutral gray. Hi, Reedy. And things like the fingers I can do later with just edge highlighting. All right, so now I can move on to this. You can see how much brighter that is. It'll darken a little bit when it dries. It's going to look brighter than when it dries. So I'll do that with that one. I'll do a little dot over here. These don't have to be perfect because I'm going to apply a wash to bring back out that lettering, and then I'll go around and I'll individually highlight, but I'm just trying to get the rough shape. And I can come back in with a little darker tone and apply some little lines. Okay, something like that. Maybe I want to make a small adjustment here by adding kind of a dark reflection in the middle. But there's lots of adjustments I can do when I go to smooth it out some. All right, so now I'm going to take the black. I'm going to thin it out. Basically like a wash. You could use a pre-formulated wash for this, but I find I get a little better control just using like thin down black paint. I can kind of put it where I want and how dark I want it to be. So that just helps some of the pop those letters out. And then when I come around and do all the little dots and stuff on the letters, they'll feel very metallic-y. All right. So next layer up, I want something kind of yellowish to vary up the color even more. Get away from that blue. No, I have not. Lumberjack. Like I said, I feel very comfortable just like applying a thinning out, regular black acrylic to where I need it to be. Okay, so now I can grab this and a little bit of this kind of cloudy sky. You see this is a little yellowish. This will give me that warm reflection, which is going to make it feel even more different than the blue. In some of these areas down here, I don't want the edge highlights to be as bright, right? So I'll go back to this more middle gray and then work my way back up. I am going to let that dry a minute. So in the meantime, let's work on the Aquila. So I'm going to use glasses for this. This is a little small. Okay, something like that. So I'm not making big jumps in tone yet. I want to pick out these feathers. I'm pulling down towards the outside, so because the paint is slightly thinned, it leaves a little bit more paint on the end of each feather instead of the inside of the feather. And this one I'm going to do the opposite way so that that brightest point is on the inside. Want the shape, the chest to still have a bit of shape to it. So you get something like that. All right, you can start to see the shape of the thing forming. And I'll move up. Make sure I'm tracing really small lines. So right here in the center of the chest is where it's going to be brightest. So these central feathers, I don't mind being super bright. And then the ones on the outside will be less bright. So basically right here is where the brightest point of the metallic would be. And then for these, I'm going to just hit the outside edges of the feathers. It's like a secondary reflection. So notice I left a little gap, right? Okay. Now with this guy, really start to push the light. See, I painted the whole surface of those. This requires quite a lot of brush control, but... And then on these, I'm going to do a similar thing I did to the other side. I'm going to try and just get the kind of outside bottom edge of the feather, just to create that edge highlight. Okay, something like that. Then on the other side, all right. Now we really push into the light. So grab some white. I don't like to use too much pure white in my metallics, just because I like to have somewhere to go if I want to push the light a little more in a certain spot. So here I'm going to use this like kind of ivory I've mixed. And then kind of somewhere along the edge, somewhere like in the middle of the feather, I'm putting like a little dot reflection to kind of create like a streak, a light streak. Little dot on the ends. Cool. So it looks kind of white right now. What I'm going to do is need to get a little more contrast in a couple spots. So I'm going to do the same trick with the black. But basically take some of the black, just glaze some extra shadow into it. Tough Luck Games. How are you? Right. Glazing is useful when you know when to use it. It's when you overuse it that, like, when people use it for literally everything, I'm like, dude, it's gonna take you forever to paint your model by just glazing everything. I mean, what I've been working on this for 2 hours. Like, that's not that long. Now with just a touch of the white, I'm going to put a couple little spots of pure white on there. Okay, cool. I think too many people get taught that, like, glazing is the way to blend, and they don't learn other techniques. It's like glazing is this mysterious technical, precision technique that all the Golden Demon painters use to get perfect blending. And it's like people just assume that that's like the way you do it. And there's so many other techniques and ways to achieve, the look you want. Like, what, are we throwing shade at Bing comments now? What's going on? All right. So, let's start to build up some of this lettering. So this is basically going to be like, I'm going to come in and I'm going to paint little dots on the tops of the letters. And honestly, it doesn't really matter what the shape. It's so fucking small that, like, I can kind of just paint a series of dots along the rows and you'll just be like, yep, that makes sense. Yeah, like some of the larger letters, right? That I can see that there's like a flat line. I can paint that whole edge. but I'm going to use less dots as I move down. Because the whole thing, I did that initial like marking, right, where I kind of sketched in the light, so the whole top of the shoulder is brighter than the bottom. And as I work my way down, only the little edge highlights are what's going to define the lettering. Some of these I can see there's like an O or an A, so I can put another little mark to help define the letter. This way I'm not trying to paint every single letter, right? I'm just trying to get like the kind of shapes in here. I think that says war right there. Because if I tried to go around and like edge highlight around every single letter, I'd go mad doing this on literally even like a dozen figures. I'd go insane. So I want to create the red. I'm going to do the lenses red. I want to create the effect that I'm painting, like edge highlighting and highlighting all the letters. But really, I'm just kind of making dots. No, this is the Deathwatch upgrade sprue. Bill's got it. All right, the Inquisition symbol, however, I do need to paint like the entire edge highlight on. It is a more important section of the shoulder, like part of the design of the shoulder pad. Okay, so that, and then at the bottom, so you can still see that like clearly there feels like there's more light up here, right? I'm going to take and I'm going to grab a couple of these just really tiny dots at the bottom just to make some of these lower letters feel a little shinier. And then I'll grab the white and I'll make some of these in the main area. The main highlight area feel really shiny. Okay. I'm going to paint the skull gold on mine. I think. I don't know. I haven't decided. Maybe I'll paint the eye gold and the skull. And we'll see. This is why I'm doing a test scheme. Yes. Correct, Middle East beast. All right. So getting the kind of feeling now. One thing is that now I need, so here I want a bright highlight. Okay. So I'm doing all this from the front, but I'll go back and I'll fill in the back. I'll zoom in a second. Let me finish the shoulder pad, or finish the front of the shoulder pad. So here I'm trying to paint this thin edge highlight that's like on the inside lip. There we go. What else do I want? Do I want his belt buckle to be silver? Not really. I think I want the belt buckle to be gray. I think I'm just going to do her black. I think I'm just going to put an edge highlight on it. Something like that. So you can see now, and I might come back and actually tone some of the armor down a little bit. Like I might glaze in some extra black in some spots, but you can see that the armor now feels less shiny than it did before. So like here, let's look at the neck, right? So the neck feels very bright at the moment. So now I can come in and I can glaze. So this is how I really use glazes, is if I want to make a large adjustment. A subtle but large adjustment to something. So it's like I'm not trying to blend with it so much as like completely alter the tonality, right? Just want to knock all this down a little bit to make the armor feel even darker. Which by having the darker armor, the more black armor is going to make the metallic feel even brighter. Okay. Just by doing that, makes the silver more silvery. Does it feel like silver? Still got to do some edge highlights on there. Got to do the rest of the gauntlet. The head and stuff needs a lot of edge highlights, but yeah, that should give you the kind of effect. So you can see all it takes is kind of one little highlight like that to really push the contrast on the non-metallic and really make that feel kind of shiny. So like here underneath, this feels like it's, my palette feels like it's thirsty. Something like this edge is very small. Doesn't take much to just define that. I'm actually going to kind of paint the whole top of this gauntlet a little bit, so I'll thicken that highlight, and then I'll paint a more refined edge on it. I'm looking at this now. I think so. I'm going to glaze some here. I just want to brighten this whole area a little bit. That whole part of the cuff. Now I can come back in. Pop in that edge highlight. You know what I'm saying? Or not edge highlight, that main reflection. Make it very shiny. Them danger edges. Hell yeah, dude. Alessandro, what are you doing? You're up very late. Put some little dots, some tings. That's the sound they make when the light shines on them. That comic sound effect of someone smiling. Okay, I gotta do more of the fingers and stuff, but they're really hard to see at the moment. Painting a Space Marine, dude. He's cool. Look at him. I haven't really touched the back that much. Ignore the back. All right, what I want to do, I'm going to take some of this, just a little bit of this cloudy sky. I'm going to pop some little subtle dots on the black armor. Just to make it a little shinier. What color for the bolter? Dark red. And he shall know no fear. So just a few spots like this. Shine it up a little bit more. Okay. All right, now let's work on the helmet. like the, what's it called? Some of the shoulder pen. A lot of this just comes down to painting edge highlights. There's a reason that Games Workshop just like edge highlights everything, right? Because it's an effective way to create definition on really tiny areas. You'll notice with like the heavy metal paint jobs, especially when they get fancier, they start to do more paint jobs kind of like this, where they can play around a bit more because they have larger surfaces, or they get some extra time to work on a figure because it's an important figure. But really it's about like effectively creating definition on the model. Yeah, it's definitely not Francesco's stream because I'm not painting the back. I am going to paint the back eventually, just not on stream because it's not that interesting. Why double the amount of time when I can show you more? Make his little bright spot on his helmet. And some people do like the glowing eyes. I'm not super into that. Where they put like a glow around the edge. I tend to think that it kind of lowers the impact of the eye by making it have like an exterior glow. So I like to just let it be in the center of the eye. Let librarians and stuff that have magic powers have glowing eyes. Regular Space Marines don't need glow. This one is a 1, or this is a 2. The one I'm using right now is a DaVinci 0. I never use anything smaller than a 0, really. It's more about having a good point than it is the size of the brush. Put his little mouth vents in. Okay. What color am I going to do the laurels? I think I'm going to do them gold. I don't want to mix too much green on I don't want to put really any green on the figure because it's going to contrast a lot with the red, because I'm going to end up using quite a bit of red on him. What color I was about to do. Okay. Little edge highlights. So many little edge highlights. Little dots. Okay. There we go. Cool. So what's left, I think, to do? I mean, there's a lot of like little detail-y stuff. I think one of the big things gotta figure out is how to do the leather. So I got to do the leather. I've got some more armor panels to do. I just have to paint the red. So I think quickly I'm going to paint some red on him, just to get a feeling for how it looks. Maybe I'll base coat the leather also. And I think we're going to go with quite a dark red to start. I want a pretty dark red. I was thinking maybe Cartacci, but I don't even know if that's dark enough for what I want. It's got really good coverage though. But maybe yeah, maybe. Yeah, we'll go with it. Thanks, K-Sauce. Thanks for the prime. All right. So, rojo. So what do I got that needs to be red? Well, he's a blood angel, so he's got to have his blood. The cool thing about Deathwatch is they're allowed to kind of do their own thing with their armor as long as, you know, they wear black and do the shoulder pad. So I am open to some further like messing around with the design if I want. All right, so what parts of the, I think all of this is basically red. This whole outer casing. I'm going to mix just a little bit of black into this. Yeah, that's kind of more the red I want to start. And I'll work my way up from that. Wait, that's not a bad thing. How is that the worst part? That should be the best part of the Deathwatch. Is Deathwatch just a bunch of Mandalorian badasses? Dude, I need intercessors with jump packs like stat, by the way. Why have the new Space Marines not gotten jump pack dudes? And don't say those weird guys with the giant feet. They suck. They look stupid. And I hate them. Talking about regular Space Marines with just cool backpacks. So I think that's like the only part I want to do red on the gun. And we'll do the chainsword red. All right, someone who is an expert. Where's my 40K experts? Do Blood Angels, what color are generic Blood Angel shoulder pad rims? It's all red. Okay. That's weird. I don't like that. All right. We won't mess with that. No. He's definitely going to have the red shoulder pad. I just didn't know what color the rim was. I didn't know if they did like black rims or... They really just do red rims and not black rims? That's weird. That's fine. I'll be chapter compliant on some stuff. I'm sure that, like, depending on which company they're in, they have different color shoulder pads, but... or different colored rims. We would do red for the whole thing. And then that's what? They have a black angel symbol, right? With a red teardrop in the middle? Or is it white? Yeah, I was calling one of the models bad. Because it is. It's ugly. Especially compared to all of the new fancy designs they have. I don't know the names of them. They're the Gravis jump dudes. They have like plasma guns attached to their wrists. Asnable, you just like it because it's red. Paint it red. And try and get back here. If I need to come back in and fix some stuff, I can do that. Also not super concerned with getting a perfect coverage on, or like in between the shoulder pad and the backpack. I will attempt to get it mostly right, but I'm not going to cry about it. All right, so then we get that nice red highlight on there. I'll probably push it more than that, but I'd like that kind of dark red. I am going to go around the bottom and help define that so that I get that kind of deep red. All right. What else does he need? Give another extra layer to my blood drop. So big things left to paint, right? Is I'm re-looking. I gotta finish, do the leather, do the eyes and things. Oh, in between all of the what's it called? The black suit, whatever you call that stuff. I don't know what it's called. The black undergarb. It's been a long time. I'm not up on all my $40K lures. The black suit. What do they call it? I don't know. There's a name for it. Here I want the top of this to be really red, so that it gives that kind of shinier effect. This whole side faces, this side faces up, so I'll do this one. And then this will probably get highlighted a little bit more. But so the top of the gun will be quite red. The sides, so the top will be quite red. The side will be super red. I'm actually going to highlight that way more to make the red look kind of shiny. And then the sides will be dark. here I just want to get good coverage. Work my way up to that nice bright red. Okay. While that's drying, let's do this. I need a very bright red. I think I'm going to go with, there is a game color that I like for like a kind of orangish red. Not bloody red. Scarlet Blood. It's a little bit more orangish. So that's not going to be used for the Deathwatch parts, but for the Blood Angel parts. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of this. I'm going to mix them together. I'm going to get just a slightly lighter red. Paint the bottom of that. Then we'll work up a little bit more. And that was a bad mark. That's okay, because I can go back over it. It's easier to kind of go too big on these marks, these like little tiny edges, to give that kind of gem effect. And then just fill in the center. So now I can just take some of this dark red and make that nice and thin in the middle. Right? Get that super thin line. Like that. And I'll take this very bright light. Put a little dot. Give them some bling. Cool. All right, one more layer on the on this. Just kind of glaze it on top. This will help smooth some stuff out also. I'm going to get that nice bright red shoulder pad. All right, I'm going to go take a quick break. And when I come back, I don't know, maybe I'll base cut the brown, because this gives me an idea of how he looks. I haven't decided if I want to do something else on him yet. Maybe not. Maybe because he already has extra red on him because he's a Blood Angel, that I don't want to like overfill him with too much red. But Okay, I'll be back in a few minutes. Flat brown. Simple and memorable. I'll just fix the, what's it called? The rivet later. Because I have to reproduce this color scheme across multiple figures. I don't want something that's like, remember 5 different colors to highlight the leather. Like, nah, dude. I'm painting them for a kill team. I'm gonna play some kill team. Gotta paint up 6 Marines. Make an intercession squad. For funsies. Dude, I don't know. You're asking the wrong person about anything when it comes to, like, I literally have not played the game since 5th edition. Someone told me, like, hey, if you want to do some Space Marines, check out the Intercession Squad for Kill Team. You get to just, like, mix and match some simple new Space Marines, which is cool because I like the new models. It has nothing to do with power level or me knowing what the heck. And the only reason I'm doing Deathwatch, I don't even know if, like, how the difference between Deathwatch and regular Space Marines in terms of gameplay for, like, the actual game, because I'm going to play Kill Team. I'm literally doing Deathwatch because I wanted to convert a bunch of figures for different chapters. It has absolutely zero to do with me having any knowledge of the game whatsoever. I'm just like, dude, I want to paint a Space Wolf and a Blood Angel and an Ultramarine and a Salamander and a Dark Angel and a Black Templar. I get to do them all. Maybe I'll do an Iron Warrior at some point. Because I guess the way it works in like campaign is you build like a roster of 10 or 20 guys. I don't know. Someone could probably tell me who knows way more than I do. But I guess you build like a roster of dudes. And then you like pick 6 of them to go out on a mission. Max roster size is 20. You start with a minimum size of your faction, 6 for intercessors. Okay, So I build a roster, right? So I can slowly expand my roster to more dudes, which means I get to goof around and convert more cool Marines from different chapters. Sounds fun. And that's literally all there is to me wanting to do Space Marines. And Deathwatch specifically. So that I get to play with more different types of Space Marines. Because I don't want to pick a single chapter. What's the fun in that? When you can play all the chapters and I can steal cool bits from my friends that are like Black Templar bits, and I can steal Iron Warrior bits and Mechanicus bits to... Dude, I gotta find somebody who plays Adeptus Mechanicus so that I can steal bits to make a cool Iron Warrior. Right? Because kit bashing is the most fun part. Yeah, dude, I'm like in a Ben and Jerry's and I'm like, oh, let me try that one. Let me get a sample of that. Yeah, let me get a sample of that guy right there. Cool. All right. I think the brown. The brown works. A Carcharodon? I'll make a Carcharodon. Why not? Those are the Space Shark guys. I remember them because I played back when like the Bad Ab Wars was the big thing from Forge World. There was them and the Red Scorpions, and there was someone else. It was like the Cursed Founding or something. Lamenters, and I don't remember all of them, but Chardarodon. Yeah, man, he's a blood angel. All right, let's do his eyes. Well, first, let me edge highlight the other part of his head. Like the Black Templars have cool bits. And like weapon chains and stuff. And the Imperial Fists have nothing because they're lame. I'm joking. I don't know. It's the Imperial Fists are fine, but I'll probably do a Crimson Fist just because I get to paint a red hand. But yeah, I really don't. Like, I was looking at all the, I've been looking at all like the upgrade sprues for the different factions. The Imperial Fist upgrade sprue is the lamest sprue. It's like, hey, check out my shoulder pads. Very exciting, guys. Cool. Wow, a power fist. Looks badass. These red eyeballs. I'm almost, well, I don't know. I don't dislike it, but I'm like slightly tempted to put more gold on them somewhere. Nah, dude, I ain't doing that. I'm not trying to make them glow, okay? I went over this. I don't like the glowing eyes. They're supposed to look like lenses. I'll put a little highlight in the back. Here's a little random fact for you guys. Did you know that Darth Vader's lenses are actually red on his helmet? They're just so dark red that they don't really show up on film. But the actual suit, if you see the prop costume helmet, he has red lenses. That one's a little big. Doesn't look that big in person, but on camera it looks big. So I just shrink it a little bit. There. Now he looks cool. With his glowy eyes. Nah, he's just got red lenses. All right, we got some of the red in. We got the brown base coated. I like that. That gives a nice contrast to the black. I'll eventually highlight that. I think what I want to do now, well, I'm seeing some spots I missed edge highlighting. All these little tiny vents. Gotta make sure I get those. They're important. Oh yeah, dude. I'm nerding it up, man. I'll play with my little action figure men. You can't stop me. I think I'm just going to use this gray. One of the grays we used for the metallic. I think I'll actually mix it with a little bit of the black. We'll use that to do. I don't want this to be super highlighted. I want really thin lines. To do this, whatever it's called. And this just needs to be enough to make them stand out a little bit. I don't think I'd want to do it when someone picks it up. It might startle them and they'll drop it. I think people have done music boxes and stuff before, though. Okay, a little bit of gray in there, just to give some shape. Look, they dropped enough figures at the last Golden Demon. I don't need I don't want them to drop mine. They broke more than 4. Oh man, he's got a little one like all the way in the back of his here. Come on, dude. Add a little line. There we go. Just define that shape. But yeah, I don't remember exactly how many. I think it was like 6 or something. You know how many they broke last year? Zero is the answer. None. It was a different group running it this year. Do I want to try and get... Yeah, sure. Why not? Let's get down in here. Let's just try and give the neck joint a little line. It helps. Cool. And now he's got his gray suit. Manco Miniatures? Manco Miniaturas? Hello. Welcome. Just gonna stipple this a bit to get like a little bit of a thicker layer to really get that red to show. I could do this with a little white and then glaze back over top of it with the red to get like a really solid coverage, but that'll work just fine. And then under here, I'm going to take some of this dark red and glaze the other direction to soften that. Then I need to outline. Here we'll do a little bit of pink right here. Give some of this rounded shape to it. So red's an interesting color that if I want it to really look like pure red, I don't really want anything other than pure red, right? Because it's very easy. You could use some orange, But if I use anything lighter than red, it comes out looking kind of pink. It turns pink very fast. So I'll do that, and then I'll glaze red back over top of it to get a very bright red for his shoulder. The red on his guns is going to be a darker red. So I can distinguish between the Deathwatch red of the guns and the Blood Angel red of the shoulder pads. See what happens when I glaze back? It just turns into a bright red. I can do one more little layer on there. I might actually want to push some of that light down a little bit, so it's more in this corner than kind of up on the shoulder pad to match the metallic arm. So like this. So I'll go like this. Kind of create this shape. A trick. You over highlight, and then you glaze it back by covering the whole surface with the bright color that you want. You get a very bright version of that color. And that glaze helps. It may take a couple glazes on the edge, but that glaze helps the transition point also. So I didn't just try to glaze the in-between, I glazed the whole thing and get a very saturated red. Like so. See how bright red that looks now? Then we can take the dark red, get some black, paint the inside lip of the shoulder. Space Marine, dude. It's a Space Marine. Kill Marine, which is the cheesiest crap I've ever heard. That is so Games Workshop to call a Deathwatch member a Kill Marine, as if they're not all Kill Marines. Hi Joe, hi Doug. Yes, I know this comes as a surprise to some of you all. I am in fact painting a Space Marine for funsies. Yeah, just a bit of that white. You can use the kind of pinkish tone for an edge highlight. Because it's not really enough to like alter the color, right? I'm just trying to add some light to the edge. Hi Pun, hello, welcome in. See? Something like that. Just enough to create a nice edge effect. What? Raid. Who's that? Spilled Paint Pot. Hello. Welcome. Thanks for following. Okay. I'm good, man. How are you? What were you doing? What were you working on there? Oh, the hell, the big boy. The big boy diorama. Well, for now, that new one they showed is also freaking gigantic. So I don't know if the Howling Pack's the big boy anymore. All right, what the heck's a Blood Angel shoulder pad look like? Blood Angel icon. It is 5-pointed wings with a black blood drop in the middle. Got it. I'm gonna make the edge of the armor just a little shinier, so that the edge piece has a little bit of a different effect on it. The trim, the shoulder trim. Get it done. Get it done. You got plenty of time for Nova. Something like that, right? And then in a couple areas. So I want those really bright spot highlights. And I'm going to tone back some of the other ones. Right, so I get just that really bright white highlight in the main reflection point. I want that to be small. I do say that, and don't you rush me. All right. Wing time. Emblem time. Let's freehand a symbol. So, okay. Boom, blood drop. It's a little thicker than that. It's a little beefier. Okay. And then it goes like this. About halfway into it, and it curves at the top. So it's a S curve like that. And then it curves back up like this. And then there's 5 feathers. 1. And I know this one curves down, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint the other end. So there's the bottom feather, which means the middle feather would go here. The other feather would go here. And one would go like that. Got it? Right? It all makes sense in here, in my brain. One half of a Blood Angel symbol. This bottom feather, I think I want actually to just come down slightly more, like that. Maybe I want some of these to extend out a little bit. Make it feel bigger. Use the real estate. Okay, then same thing on this side. So using the other side that I drew as a landmark, right? As I'm just trying to paint a symmetrical design. So I get the bottom feather, and the top feather is going to come kind of behind the shoulder thing, the backpack, and then split it in half, and then split it in half again. A leaf, right? I don't know. Hello, welcome. Boom, blood angel. He's now officially a blood angel. Like he wasn't before with his giant what's it called? His big blood drop on his chest and everything else. I'm gonna bring this one. I'm gonna adjust this just a touch. This is really the trick to freehand, is just making small little adjustments. And there you go. One blood angel symbol on the shoulder pad. Who needs a stinking molded shoulder when you can just paint it? You guys know what I'm saying? Right? Yellow ochre. See ya. Have a good one. All right, so I'm using the yellow ochre. I'm doing kind of like edge highlighting, but more like thick. Like I'm giving them some thick boy edge highlights. Focusing a little on the bottom of these flaps. It's going to make it kind of feel rounded. Okay, something like that. Because I'm going to end up going in and painting like way more thin lights on top of this. So it can have these little like nicks and scratches along the leather. Then here it's got a little bit of shape to it. This is pretty thinned out. Okay, some thick boy highlights. So let's see, I've been painting, what, almost 4 hours. If I do the back, right, paint the back, finish the details, I think without streaming and just concentrating, I could paint one of these Marines in probably 5 hours. It took my ass, I had to figure out the kind of color scheme. I think with that, 5 hours per Marine to do a small kill team of 10 Marines, like 6 to 10 Marines is not bad at like painting them to a like slightly higher level, right? I mean, even if it's a hour a day, right? You get an hour in a night, you know? Finish one Marine a week. Mm. I also don't expect it, you guys to be painting your gaming figures to the same level, right? I have some experience painting like War Machine box arts and stuff pretty quick, so what? Okay. So that stage, and then we'll add some of the same cloudy sky we've been using so far to really like push the leather. Now we're just gonna do like little dots on the edge, right? So trying to focus more towards like the corners. Then I'll do these like really thin little scratches and nicks in the leather. It might actually be a little too much. I'll tone it down. This is a Da Vinci, but I've been also using the Artist Opus, which I've been quite pleased with. Right, so the little tiny lines. Kyle, I'm just going to go Kyle Hobby. Hello. Welcome. Okay, so little nicks and dings in the leather helps add a little character to it, you know. This leather holster's been used. Okay. Something like that. And now it looks kind of crazy at the moment. It's like, it's got too much contrast, right? So what we can do, don't want smoke, I want wood grain. The wood grain is like an ink. It's kind of red, reddish. It's a nice reddish brown. When I take this and so you can thin it out a little bit, right? And I apply it over the top. One, it's going to make the leather like a bit more satin, which is an effect I kind of like. And two, it's going to help unify all those colors and feel more integrated. It's also going to add some really nice, like, deep, the more you layer this on top, the deeper it'll push the shadows in the leather. So some of it I like to really try and focus around where I want some really dark shadows. Cool. All right. I think I'm going to call it there today. Showed how I would plan to do the metallic, like the steel, the armor, some of the red, the leather. You basically know everything about how I would paint this Space Marine. Now I just have to finish him.